in itself, but as a foundation for resilient economies, equitable access to essential services, civic participatory. Participants, welcome back. We lost you there for a moment. Okay, let me say again. I was saying that we initially today in person. Late last year, I joined our Philippine CCCIs boot camp. We've had Philippine CCCIs boot camp. We've had opportunity to come and learn from you all and meet a lot of people. I would like as many as you see we have members in Kenya, the Arid Lands Information Network, KICTANET, and the International Association of Women in Radio and Television, and as well as our local host here, Tanda, for managing so brilliantly the preparation for the event. Holding the boot camp in Nairobi is fitting with Kenya's leadership, where we just heard the very introduced us to the school of the deaf in the county, and it was really very touching to see how young to break fast during Iftar, the first day of the Ramadan, and it was very meaningful for us. It was a powerful reminder.
And yes, we are having a very great time here in Kenya. We always are very welcome here. And now I want to welcome Chris Locke. Chris is the.
It's a huge amount. It's a huge amount of ISOC staff and leadership in the room today, as well as members of ISOC staff and leadership in the room today, as well as members of our community and chapters. And that represents the centrality of community centre. Without doing that at the community level, we probably only extend digital exclusion. We probably only extend the gap between people's abilities, connecting the communities to the internet. Is actually the fundamental first step to many of the further downstream changes that we want to see. What I saw yesterday in the sessions and what I see in the room today is abundantly a commitment of time and energy and resources. To make sure that communities come online in a meaningful way. What I would ask is of my fellow partners that are in the room and online today, is that we improve that commitment as well. Extending community networks, to funding community networks, to training people, to supporting programs like this, to make sure that this work continues, and not just celebrating what's happening in the room this week, but to continue to celebrate events like this in the future. What I ask is that at a time when funding seems to be evaporating, that we pool the money we have to work even closer together. To make sure that we see this work continuing. And we increase the funding that's been described by the Kenyan Communications Authority. We need to make sure that policy events, not least the plenipotentiary coming up, that we are representing the fundamental requirement that community networks are represented And what I would ask is that as we celebrate what's going on in the room today, we make sure that we are putting our efforts in to ensure that this work can continue to grow, and that all we can continue to do is to support more community efforts, to bring people online to an ever-accelerating digital future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris, and of course thanks for all involved in this big commitment of different organizations that are working to improve this for this collaboration for so many years with the different layers that ISO has around the world, from the foundation to the chapters in the countries, and everyone involved in this collaboration. And everyone involved in this collaboration.
As they pull up the video.
Speaking to you today, and I am delighted to join them in warmly welcoming all of you to this exciting public forum of the Africa Bootcamp as part of science, innovation and technology. Through the DAP, we have worked in Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Brazil and Indonesia since financial year 2019-2020, and have so far sustainably and not skewed against it. Thirdly, all this needs a significant and reliable resources, more than any institutional donor or development program can ever provide.
Sandra is not present in the room, but I will. Sandra is not present in the room, but I will share these claps to her. So. These claps to her. So this forum, beyond this through, we know that there is a lot of effort that we need to do. But so far, we are having a great experience here in Africa.
With all of you and online, and yeah, really an honor to be speaking to all of you. I mentioned this, right? I think a lot of this journey in many ways has been hard because community-centered connectivity has been seen as a threat to those other models, right? And I don't think that's the case, right? And I don't think that's the case. I think we wanted to transcend some of the doubts of the community, for that term. That was a way of using a new term and engaging in this new in ways that encourage the community's autonomy. And they improve personal, social, political and economic lives of people living in the community, particularly for those who are structurally marginalized. It's a testimony to the richness of different types of community participation, organizational models, and service the different local contexts where you are all operating and engaging. Allow me to finish that, to leave you with something along these thoughts, right? Like I started my community asking myself a simple question, that was, could communities...
Now please welcome Navid Haq. He's part of the global team at Navid Haq. He's part of the global team at...
For us, bringing people online is important. I come from a background of a regulator. I've worked for a regulator, and when I was hearing our colleagues from what enabling environment does, it encourages and fosters development. It encourages and fosters development. It opens and provides opportunities to people to do it. And provides opportunities to people to do it. Yesterday I went to Namaluk Community Network and I took a photo of a license, and that license makes me more happy because when I started because you know what, while we talk about what is needs to be done, there is always a moment to understand that things happen pole pole. It takes time, especially on the enabling environment side. In Pakistan with the regulator, we did a workshop, and I put an example of Kenya in front of the regulator, telling them that look, this is something that January this year, Pakistan has introduced a data license framework that is encouraging entrepreneurs and small network operators. Imagine that change that a connectivity can bring to those people in the village, while they are able to now order their medicine requirements online.
Photo, I think should take 5 minutes, and then we'll go straight to half of the tea break, which will be about 15 minutes. And then we'll come back in. Okay? So we can just start moving now. Thank you. Happy to have chat. So I'm just going to call the names as everyone comes on the stage for the panel. And then our first panelist is Richard Anago from IT. Next is Louis from Afro Leadership. Louis, are you in the room? Please welcome as well.
Of Burkina Faso, working on network development, policy regulation, and international cooperation. He currently works with the IPU on digital development and policy initiatives in Africa.
Universal, meaningful and affordable connectivity, including in rural and remote areas. The vision is advances access to and use a digital service worldwide. The relevant is Resolution 11, revised in Kigali 2022, which constitutes to establish enabling policies, regulatory frameworks, mechanisms with direct attachment. They including the digital transformation for smart village and communities, which aims to strengthen and communities, which aims to strengthen the sustainability of national smart village, the sustainability of national smart village and smart Islam program in the Asia Pacific, financing smart Islam program in the Asia Pacific, financing model to reduce access costs and stimulate adoption, The digital capacity building initiatives, particularly of the Institute, basic policy and regulatory framework, while strengthening international cooperation and local partnership. multi-sectoral, integrating scale development, financing emerging technologies, including convergence between. I think that with that, I finish my presentation.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much. Thank you for outlining the regulatory framework, and please, from all of you, Internet Architect. Congratulations on your award last year. He leads initiatives that advance affordable and
mentioned about 10 years ago when we started this journey, and it's been an experience that's been both rewarding at a personal level, but also transformative. Mentions these are all right, I hope the echo's gone. So Telecommunications Union, the African Union, and then you have to socialize the idea. This is working, and we have a few case studies that we can actually show you, and it's actually a good idea. Find ways of talking to the policymakers at the regional level to get better understanding of why this is different from community building. It takes a while, and that happened to us. Planning for 2018, we came back a very disappointed lot. Not a single text that was proposed on community networks was accepted. So if you can actually pull the text and say, oh, according to this resolution, as the examples that Richard has showed, recognizes community networks, then your regulator will be more willing. To listen. But we need to move everyone across because they are into this. Because the unconnected are across the board, the slowest moving. How do we make sure that we provide sustainable, mobilizing and scaling the partnerships you need to?
I think it's a question about how do you bail a cat? I think it's a question about how do you bail a cat? The mouse conference in mice, and they decide, okay, someone needs to bail the cat, but how do you do it? Who will sneak up to the cat? Who will tie it around the neck? And the neck being connectivity problems in general. People who even put in the seed capital. You find that maybe a supermarket owner decided, okay, I need connectivity for my customers to be able to pay by M-Pesa when they have here and have Wi-Fi. Find a way to have a community network start. Then the issues of sustainability will be clear. It will be very difficult to expect a messiah to a very good cause, but to a community. But the mechanics around how this can be done is still a big issue. So I think that's my view on maybe what has been the factor.
Have the words ready and the language, and then having the enabling environment, the business case for CCCI. Tanda Community Network, beginning with their Rural Cyber Cafe in 2000. Tanda Community Network, beginning with their Rural Cyber Cafe in 2003. I told you a century of experience in this panel. A century of experience in this panel. Expanded connectivity.
So, of course, we didn't have a licensing framework in Zimbabwe, but we had to make a bold answer to this community as a solution for last mile connectivity in Zimbabwe. And that triggered a lot of national engagement with the community, and that speaks of a great relationship that was built within the community. The community network to us is in African models. So your approach in building the community networks, it matters. Are you really building it with the same way which our traditional ISP are building? Or you are building it speaks of a huge difference to how you approach your implementation when it comes to things.
Thank you. Thank you. I think the social returns is so important to record.
To now enter into advocacy, and this is what I'm doing. A little bit of my background. I did my PhD in Germany, but I refused laws for Mike, from Ramon, from Gifinet, and I was just inspired about how we call technical innovations, and we were talking about innovation. a few minutes ago. The second point is about a kind of evidence-based policy advocacy. It's a regulatory framework for community networking in francophone countries. And we have been working also with some chapters from international countries. And we have been working also with some chapters from Internet Society in Gabon about the human capacity building. In Gabon about the human capacity building. After feeling that we are just like you were talking. We are just like you were talking in a few minutes. We are just of the training we are. We are just of the training we are offering. Because after feeling that sometimes. Yes, we have the category of let's say engineers. Yes, we have the category of let's say engineers that university because you can get maybe some students on that can also be involved. Diversity. The particularity of the specificity of each.
And I am not sure whether Kenya has a similar kind of setting. And I want to learn from you how particularly you partner with community networks. So those are some of the challenges and sharing. If somebody can come and learn from this, I think there will be a change in the way we community networks. And then
wired or you're doing wireless connection. If you're doing wired connection like right now it's raining, I know the community networks in this room are
the director of outside plant of my company. I am also a member of plant of my company. I am also a member of Women in STEM Gambia. I'm the project coordinator.
First to respond to those two questions and then we can have more.
For instance, like if you look at the framework for community networks in Kenya, it was actually building on networks around Africa. And one of the most effective networks at the time that were highlighted was the one focusing on fiber with commercial operators. So that brings me back to the first question. So what is Kenya doing about, say, national optical fiber infrastructure? There's a lot happening. The government has in place access to backbone, and it can be punishingly high, especially the farther you are from either Mombasa or Nairobi, the capital. So any of those community networks that are farther away, maybe now are relying on, say, even more to achieve. So I'll also attempt the question by how you mentioned something, and you mentioned about micro ISPs that are maybe sort of operating in quasi-legal.
And reach a term in terms of what pricing and to give you as an association, then we can have the ability. A very difficult engagement because of how telecoms operators look at the market. But we had fiber sitting idle in the town, and Murambinda helped expand that fiber to more places. So they didn't have the capacity. So they didn't have the capacity.
So the other members can just continue briefly to break. So the next panel is moderated by I don't know, it's Josephine Miliza. So for those who don't know Josephine, any conversations or community networks
around 12 different sites in different provinces. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, hi, Peter Bull. Most of you met me.
And it will be responding to question from your work with indigenous and local communities in Asia, including
not only with the local challenges and needs, because as we knew, CCCI challenges and needs, because as we knew, CCCI project and utilization is always contextual by nature. And the prolonged impact of COVID-19 pandemic outbreak is somehow very strong. And up until now, some of our areas, especially in rural and remote areas in Asia, we still try to recover and meaningful access and connectivity in rural and remote area. And again, connectivity in rural and remote area. And again, earlier this year, we experienced quite some on topology and infrastructure. Next.
So we come from so far, 2019. Sometimes I was discussing with Immaculate and I said, okay, we're still here, we're still learning by doing. We still have hope and power, maybe to influence, maybe to lead us, maybe to give us some advices and how to work on the ground. The other point is our value proposition, because in my mind, a community collaboration and so on. The other one is to put in place structure, financial structure, infrastructure, a committee of management, where I'm living. And we said if we succeed with this pilot, it will be easy to extend in other corners of our country. ISOC from APC, we extend. When we decided to go on the ground on the plan of Uzizi, we get a fund from USAID, and we started training with those cooperatives. But all of you know what happened with Trump. And why can't I do, or as Pamoja Net La Difference, Community Network for Peace and Resilience. This is maybe will be the project I will come back. We will have Wi-Fi for free, so I will be using my WhatsApp, Facebook, it's okay, TikTok. Not a bad thing, TikTok. Not a bad thing, what can be the impact on the community, for example, if you are like that, please you can send some project and you see what will happen. But nothing will happen, so they are not in strength. Project and you see what will happen. But nothing will happen, so they are not in strength, interest. So we think that this kind of sustainability structure, security.
America, which I think we've been doing this again for a long time, so maybe we'll have some sort of echo with all of you. So I think if we want to talk, can you go to the next slide? So this is, the community making decisions. That's me some years ago, much skinnier, not much skinnier, a little bit. The community making decisions. That's me some years ago, much skinnier, not much skinnier, a little bit skinnier. And this is people deciding how they wanted to manage deploying. This is a bit of a commercial for our session about infrastructure later. What's available to you? And the reason that we set up a 2G GSM network wasn't because we knew how to do it or because it was easy to do. You go in and you pay for your credit and all that. But things have changed over time. Communities have expressed different needs. We're in different contexts. This is an intranet that's operating expensive. But if you know the power is going to go out and your network can only run for 5 minutes once the power goes out, what type of network are we talking about? How useful is it going to be? Our networks are in the most difficult places. There's weather, we have climate change, all these things. So and this again helps us have more resilient networks, more financially sustainable networks. And so we're seeing many community networks, and this started in Europe, who are always, a bit ahead of us. Was, okay, the big guys are going to provide service here. Let's have an MVNO. Does anybody know what an MVNO is? It's Mobile Virtual Network Operator. So this means that the MNO, the big guy, has
important lessons on starting where you are and then evolving from there. Important lessons on starting where you are and then evolving from there. The realities that starting is hard. The realities that starting is hard, sustaining is hard, sustaining is even harder. And the importance of investing in even harder. And the importance of investing in resilient children, usually under the age of 18, and their grandparents who are quite uneducated
and aren't able to assist them with homework. Funding is not always going to come like relentlessly or easily. So one of the things that we've started doing is ensuring that we document our story, feels right, and is beneficial to our people. It's quite difficult because I had to learn all these things on my own, right? So it's programs like these boot camp, the School of Community Networks, as well as other peer learning experiences and people to be able to, carry on with the work. I haven't spoken to my team since I arrived in Nairobi. Do you know why? Because I have full trust in their capability. Developing our communities. But in order for the development so how do you now as a business create your? They will know how to count from using those beads. Something that is relatable, something that is accessible, something that is at home, and it's easier. It's an easier message.
Now we're going to hear from Charles, and Charles is one of the participants from this cohort, who also runs a community network.
It was for the privileged few, but I look for my best friends in town. It was for the privileged few, but I look for my best friends in town who connected to this network. This thing ran for the first 6 months. It was trouble-free. At the end of 6 months, we started having some problems. At times, you could work at him that I could do this because I was doing it without knowing the technical, what was happening in the background technically. I didn't know how to get the source of internet. I didn't know how to connect the people back. I got something on Ubiquity Radio. I got a supplier in town here. He sent me an equipment which I didn't know even how to configure. Full script of what was happening behind the scenes. So I tried to get money through my friends who are within town again. They sponsored me. I got now a complete setup. I tried to set it up. It worked. People, they started now browsing. And it was a success story. As we are doing that, Safaricom was also strategizing on how to expand their market. Suddenly, Safaricom came in and rolled fiber. Now I have infrastructure in place. I'm not so sure what to do with it. Then I think it came like a dream at night. I thought of how he got it, but somehow he wasn't convinced that was achievable. So the challenge I had was now how to transmit internet to another 15 kilometers away from where I am. In that local market. Looking for this guy, I couldn't get him. So I had to get hold of my friend who introduced me to him. He got him. What he told me he doesn't understand this thing. He only heard of it as well, but there's a whisper. This guy says to raise their income. We could also commerce. With the surplus they could get, they can comfortably pay for. Already has skills. But now you're translating this into certification through the government institutions. This is working pretty well. I have about 3 people from my community who have been employed by. Airtel. Then connectivity must generate an economic value to the population. Then also local capacity.
Establish businesses within their community that they left, or being able to benefit from the community network, probably maybe getting a job through.
I request we restrict it to one question so that just take a couple, then maybe we can also use the lunch break and other time to really network and discuss some of these issues in depth. So there's that question.
And education, how your thinking and approach is to empowering them to know what these ICTs can do and how to manage.
So in your perspective or in your area of work and the experience you've had over time, how are you dealing with this in your communities? That's my question. Thank you.
To make us also think about rural areas and things like that. So we are building a kind of blueprint, but we would like to roundtable for the next RIPE conference in Zambia. We have a roundtable about co-designing this type of infrastructure. But my question presently is, what is your relationship with university currently?
That what is in the city is also easily accessible in their own community. Firstly, we have a lab, a solar, that in order to basically just charge their phone, they can come to us. So that the services that we offer, how we try to question. Okay, thank you. And then there was also a question from Joseph. Yes. Yes. So Computer Aid has realized that they can't consistently keep injecting funds into the solar labs that they've donated all over.
Kibabi happens to be one of the members of this club, so it trains their students. Their facilitators who come to the college, they train their students. Our public forums out there.
Cultural movements. Once the knowledge is unleashed and the local community realize that the technology is in their hands and they have the ability to develop and appropriate the technology, I think it is quite. Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
What if, just in case, it's a weird thought, it's going to do somewhere open up.
for and
those gaps. So we need you, we need ourselves, we need the infrastructure, we need inclusivity and everything. But in our discussion, we'll be looking more at the needs assessment, where we are as Africa, where we are as a...
420. 420 at 420, yes.
Will it be good?
Yes.
Will it be good for the leads to tell us where we go, so we don't waste so much time?
engagement. Does that sound good? Good. So we want to have this discussion and engagement for a bit, and so that we can finish by, what time is it now? 4:35. So we can be able to build up on what was discussed in the different groups. Okay, so I'll hand it over to the capacity building team. Ahmed, not ready?
Thank you. So infrastructure that we called it. This is extremely important. We talked obviously about all the implications that has for training, for retention of people. So sometimes some cases of people who, as a way, for example, to reduce the power bill of the network, would trade network services for electricity from some different institutions or other places that had it. Somewhat of a solution versus these very expensive, sometimes ubiquity access points that can cost upwards of $100. And people, someone, I think Ruth was saying that in Kibera, they steal them, they paint anyone who runs a network, and I definitely felt this as well. Anytime it rains or there's thunder, you have a small, heart attack. What's happening? You have a small, heart attack. What's happening to my network right now? Happening to my network right now. I don't know. I think that's a good summary. Did I miss anything? It's okay? Great. Thank you.
What would make sense to pursue further? Okay, so next on, let me check in with team gender.
You can come to me. Okay. Okay, in our group we have an interesting conversation, and the gender group was able to capture the heart of two men to join us. Schedules for women, because it was realized that some of these schedules are not favorable for women in most of the community, which led to seeing so many faces of women participating. Women, or a number of women, it tends to be a kind of easy response, easy participation from the participant, because they feel comfortable and a lot of ideas with their facilitators. So we tend to have, in as much as we are looking forward to equal participation with respect to participants, we are also looking at have a kind of grassroots conversation to be able to understand the needs and where community needs support, where also women need, and policy makers. So in as much as we want their attention, we need to strategize in terms of telling our stories. We need to tell our stories that capture the heart of this policy accordingly. Then sensitizing communities about the process of gathering their input, understanding local context before implementing standard approach, role model. No, a female doctor will not examine my wife or will not examine my daughter. So if you don't allow your girl child to go and study initiative, then shifting norms and mindset about gender inequality, because whenever we talk about gender equality, we tend to limit it to women. So we need to begin to have a conversation that whenever we are talking about training for them on how to get money in the internet through maybe like I had to show them a number in the initiative. Then we also, our medium and long-term priorities also identify documenting and sharing of success stories to influence regulators and policy makers.
I've joined the gender group, eh? Our group was also on fire. I just wanted to make a quick comment, just for consideration. I just wanted to make a quick comment, just for consideration, to mitigate against that. So I spoke to mitigate against that. So I spoke about that a little bit yesterday. You know, the ethics of AI, but I think also
using community online, what are some of the challenges?
So
using community online, what are some of the challenges that they may have to face? And yeah, after access issues, and how do we as community
we would like to share summary, of course, because we had a lot of discussion, very interesting discussion. So
encouraging women participation, and also a toolkit tailored for the program, and also we have the digital innovation.
So the participant commit to working with the community for a specific period. Training the ICT Training and Certification Center, improve access funding bodies, provide continuous update training for ICT manager. So
be able to translate everything, but you can have like kind of an animation kind of thing, or a very creatively looking kind of
general digital literacy, as well as use of technologies, electronic technologies, how to assemble your own devices, for example. So strong wish to offer devices, for example. So strong wish to offer. What blockages do they have? And then lastly, we looked at what do they want from the broader. Community in terms of support. One was infrastructure, so we had a long conversation around the communities thinking of how can we make this process more centralized so they don't have to have several, have to see to get the right documentation. There was also about engagement of chief. Another issue around, I think so, licenses from the trade. And get a business operating license aside from your community network license from the regulator, and these are usually issued by the county and they can take quite some time to obtain. This cost you mentioned about with the needs of community networks for training, and that there needs to be capacity building of those organizations to develop better relations with the training materials that are developed in a community.
Data, especially from community networks. There's a lot of, let's say, call for data set creation around data sets, because, you know, they may have the funding to create the data sets, but who will to what we call the shadow economy of data. So we are connecting people, they are producing data, but other people are using it to develop services. And we need to be aware of that. Maybe development, to think now how we can now create data set that can be relevant to us. Because most of the time they will use maybe our peak, our discussion, and that can be used to improve local activities or living condition of people in those community networks. So I would like to share with you some first reflection how we can really, let's say, push that journey a bit forward to have concrete proof of concept in some community network, and then from then leverage now to develop AI services that can be community, not first of all for big tech company. Yeah.
Yes, thanks very much for that point. It's something we didn't discuss in our group, but it's one of these things that it's not very tangible, so it kind of is below the radar, and thanks for bringing it up. And hopefully we'll be able to discuss this and many of the other issues around local services in the longer session tomorrow, where we'll go more systematically through the different services available. So this is just a little taster for tomorrow.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Mike and Vicky. Not capacity building, community engagement. Yes, community engagement.
So thanks, RISPA, and everyone who presented before us for setting the stage and setting the bar so high. So in our team, community engagement, we were that 3 wonderful ladies and 6 gentlemen. and 3 facilitators. I understand that the 3 facilitators could fit in the rest of the groups. But I would like to appreciate my team for that. And now going to the discussion, the first question that we are discussing is around the team was comprised of people from different countries from Africa. So, and from the contributions, we understand a community as with same traditions and cultures and shared practices and typical connections such as languages, goals, practices, geographical location. And for the second question, how we can best engage the community, there were several contributions, and I'll just go through them. The number one was through needs assessment, through the community, and also see or identify ways in which we can engage the community, plus address the needs they express. There is also another point on permission, so mainly to develop and nurture relationships, e.g. visit people at their homes, ensure mission aligns to expressed needs, and engage the community to get their insights and inputs. So I was going outside is looking for the mountain that is closest to you and going up the mountain. So the other point was make the people's contributions, because that is how the community feels that their contributions were taken into consideration in developing the projects. And the other point is of audio visuals, e.g. radios, music, films, documentaries, and etc. And there was another point on leveraging the social currency, and this is mainly the non-monetary expectations, out very strongly, aspirations. So we do stakeholder mapping based on Africa's diverse context, mainly on aspirations, the social structures. So these are things that include leadership in the government, and you have to understand that. So if a part of a country is has a leans in the opposition government, here is a centralist approach can be harmful. In some cases, e.g. corporate trade. So if you go with a corporate trade, so if you go with a corporate approach, so we thought that access to infrastructure was a key point. Access to infrastructure was a key point, that we need to take the infrastructure to the community. Content, especially art, community. Content, especially art, edutainment, and we could do this in local languages so that we do not leave anyone out. And the last point was on local stories. So that could, in a way, contribute to digital sovereignty for community networks, like something that the community networks could do in their communities. So, yeah, that's what we discussed in. To hear that you had such rich conversation. And yes. And yes. Okay, there is one comment, so can press.
Yeah, I just have one comment. My name is Michael. My name is Michael Kahindi. I come from the local team here for the UK Digital Access Program. And the last one just finished, and I didn't get to hear much. And this is the PWDs. The persons with disabilities is a very key target in our interventions around digital access, as one of the very vulnerable of accessing digital. And I think there are much more affected than even, we talk of the other vulnerable groups as women, youth. And these are members who live within our communities, and they still have that need to access stuff digitally. So I think it's key that even as we discuss all these aspects, we also think of strategies and structures that will also enable them to participate in this digital space. So I just wanted to add that one point. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Michael. Brilliantly said, and that we have captured it, digital inclusion, also looking at persons with disabilities and how to engage them in not only just users, but also as contributors to the networks that we are building. Have really done well, and I don't want to talk much because we are way past time. But I want to thank you all for showing up and having this discussion with us, for all the stakeholders who have come in today. Thank you for engaging with the network managers and for sharing your experiences, your expertise. It's very, very appreciated. For the online participants, most joining online and also sharing on the online platform. And with that, I would like to in here and had the recommendations, so to see in what capacity you can be able to fill a gap with the strengths that each of you bring to the table. Okay, so thank you, and if we can stop streaming now, because thanks. Done? On other news, we start early because we have a lot planned, and also we want to finish early.